Party people, rebel souls, witches of the wizard, and everybody in between. Thank you for joining us for this final, not even final, actually. Okay, let me explain myself. Our final part of the assessment application feature of our no contact narcissist course. And we'll conclude this entirety of the course instead of with a bunch of guides and activity little journals and whatnot to give you, which I'll probably end up giving you those in some time in the future. I want to give you the philosophy that inspired the creation of this course, not just my own personal experience, but my understanding of narcissists on an existential macro scale. And hopefully that can not only allow us to develop a healthy understanding as to how to address this in our daily lives, but even better than that, it gives us an opportunity to tie in the loose pieces of spiritual information that have kind of gone lost in the void because of the globalized spiritual monopoly on religion and spirituality, which again, we'll talk about more as we get into that. Right now, we're getting into the rebirth. We've gone through the identifying, we've recognized the circumstance, we've decided to address that. Escape was the only option because we've tried every other way, probably been sabotaged, and if not sabotaged, they just don't work. Because one thing I want to reinforce here is that the thing that keeps the relationship, most narcissistic relationships alive, is not the narcissist. The narcissist is surviving off you. It's your belief in them, your energy, your investment, your care, your self-sacrifice is what keeps these people alive and what keeps the relationships going. But it's our inability to see ourselves as the perpetuator of these relationships and desiring to see ourselves as a victim, which we are the victim, but we have to step out of that to make sure that we can pull the rest of us into a life that we can take responsibility for. Because if we want to stay the victim forever, then we're only going to keep on finding more narcissistic relationships to be the victim in. And that's the last thing that I want for you guys. I want, if you guys decided that this is the end of narcissistic abuse and relationships for you, I want you to create a life and a fortress around yourself that allows you to build and really connect with people who care for and love you and desire to support you, invest in you for all the versions of you that you have yet to become. Forgive me, I'm a famous man a little bit. But I hope that everything that I want to say right now, I'm trying to hold back because I know that we're gonna cover it when we get into the series. But before we get into it, of course, you know exactly what's going to happen. We're going to make it cooler this time. If you'd like to support the channel, actually, I don't think that worked at all. The intention for that was to cover up the Cosmic Nomad, so then you can just see the logo, and it's going to be like I'm just drinking Cosmic Nomad Rebel Soul juice. And then I was going to say, go check out some gear. Go purchase a shirt. I think a lot of you would look very good this summer in that Just a Little Psychotic shirt, especially if you've given up on dating. That'd be a hilarious shirt for a lot of you guys to put on. So, my bad, computer's lopsided. If you'd like to support the channel, you can check that out, cosmicnomadsrebelsouls.shop, or you can like, comment, subscribe. That works just as good, if not better, because we are fighting against YouTube and its hatred of who? Black people. Thank you for joining me. Now, I think it's about time we get into this. The thing that I love about these healing sessions that I'm doing for you guys is that it's not just you pay money or you give attention and then you get answers in return. These are opportunities to create your own solutions. And I think that will afford you so much better for the full progression of your life than just giving you answers that, again, are conditional to the present moment at which I created them. A present moment which is fleeting, a present moment which isn't expansive into a future that is constantly changing. So I'm offering you an opportunity to see what opportunities and what pathways that you can pursue to go after the healing that you are looking for. But you have to remember, the furthest I can go with you is to the door that is yourself. You are the person that has to decide that you're going to knock on the door and you're going to open it up, and whatever is in there, you are willing to face. And the greatest gift that I can give you of protection, of blessing through that journey is knowing that everything you find in that room, that Pandora's box that is your soul, that you've locked and suppressed all your emotions and all your experiences in, it is all versions of you that just need love. It may be difficult to show that love when you haven't even felt love and had that reciprocated to you in your life. But understand, it's in developing this relationship with ourselves, this is the foundation of the relationships that we're going to have with our immediate circle, determining the reinforcement we get and how we engage with the world around us, outside of the people that we hold close to us and respect us for who we are. And if they don't respect us for who we are, at least support us in being that. Okay? So we're creating an ecosystem. And again, I discussed this later in the slides, but we're creating an ecosystem to heal so you can plot your individual person instead of constantly grabbing after everything to carry yourself, to save yourself from drowning in this ocean, this chaotic ocean. What if we've created a ship that we can ride through the ocean with, and we can endure the waves with, and we can travel to the destinations that we want to go to, but at the least endure the chaos of the waters and engage in, or at least fall in alignment with, surrender to how the waters can help us get to where we're trying to go. Even if we don't know specifically where we're trying to go, how can we create that ship? Even if we don't have, maybe we're in the water right now and we don't have any resources, how can we create that ship for us to help us navigate our way through these chaotic waters to land, or at least to more calm? I believe that many of us, even if this isn't what you're doing, like you still have some people from your old life that are supporting you and that are there for you. I want you to remember that you genuinely are creating a new life, but it's not you creating a new life outside of you to put your old self into. The purge process was so we can release the shell that was holding us, constricting us from the life that we know we need to live. Now, the only next step from that, going as deep within as we can and figuring out, discovering who we are, at least to ourselves, is being able to birth that into the world. So remember, you're not necessarily coming from nothing. You're just turning the infinity that exists within you and finding a way to comprehend that for your own self, so you can take the steps and make the choices that allow you to live the life in alignment with that in your real waking world. Because I'm telling you, that dysregulation, that knowing who you are inside, but the shell of who you are protecting that or suppressing that, is invalidating your ability to serve that, is going to be almost a personality disorder creating situation. Dichotomy, if that's the word that you can use for that. Hopefully. I hope you guys are cool with me throwing like new words every now and then, because I want to make sure that every day, like I have the opportunity to speak with my mouth, I can increase my vocabulary, even if it means that I'm like fucking up what words I'm using. It's just me understanding context, me understanding situation, understanding circumstance that they fit best in. And I'm telling you, it's the being able to not be afraid in failing, especially when it comes to things like language, or comes to things like critical thinking and comprehension. It just allows you to get where you're trying to go so much faster, so much more efficiently. And it allows you to develop confidence so much more quickly in becoming the person you want to be, because you're willing to accept yourself even when you aren't that, rather than only putting yourself out there when you have the potential to be validated as what you are or what you want to be. Because that just proves that you can't look within and accept yourself for whatever that is fundamentally. And you're seeking the completion of that from other people. And the second people realize that they can eat up on you, they can prey on you and your vulnerability in seeking validation, it's over for you. But that's what we're trying to address here. We want to make sure that you're looking within and going out into the world with a light, with a torch, A flame that you know because you lit the torch, not going out into the world trying to have your torch lit by some other people and then having your light at the mercy of other people's ability to light your torch. When we're addressing this, the comeback that we're about to make, because again, it's not coming back to the life that we lived, it's coming back to reality. Because we were probably never in reality. And if we were in reality, it was before we endured this bullshit. So we got to make sure, okay, now we are still presenting ourselves or getting ready to reintegrate ourselves into the world. It's going to come with addressing the relationships we probably fucked up, addressing the careers and the job opportunities that we missed and we passed up on. It's going to be addressing the people that we left behind, the people that we disrespected, the people that we abandoned, all for the sake of sacrificing as much as of our real life for the validation of the narcissist, not knowing that that's just what the point was, to destroy the life that we were creating for ourselves, so there was no extra opportunity to escape for us. The narcissist knows they can't leave without us. They can't live without us. So that's why they have to make sure that you have sabotaged your life by your own hands. So even if you are traumatized and you are recognizing that in the relationship, where do you have to go? And even worse, who's going to believe you? You're the one who sabotaged it, even if they're the one who did it through you. That's an issue that I had to deal with my parents, and as it came to like baseball and like me wanting to be an athlete, that type of circumstance made me so mad. And I want all of you guys, especially you guys who are young people chasing a dream, you have to realize the people around you who are supposed to be supporting you, if if they're tearing you down, especially chasing a dream that isn't like negative, a dream that's like allowing you to create routines and healthy habits and intentional mindset and goal oriented like lifestyle, like they're not even any bit of negativity they're projecting onto you. It has nothing to do with you. It's just because you pursuing a path of greatness, or at least a path that is more significant than the one that they've chosen for themselves, is what's making them insecure. And the only way they can address their insecurity without taking accountability for it is making you hate your life the same way they hate theirs. So then maybe you can align in likeness of hatred, and hatred of self and hatred of your realities, rather than you being able to leave this person, because your reality will get infinitely better the second you hang around other people who are also appreciating themselves and committing to being responsible for their circumstances. Let's get started with this. You're going to have to get to a point on this journey where you realize that you're either going to you're going to be so much more afraid. And from that fear, you're going to try to gain more control. Or at least if you can't gain control, you're going to try to seek convenience away from the overwhelm of emotion that comes from this chaotic path. Because again, the slave lifestyle is convenient. It's not easier, it's just convenient because the master owns your salvation and takes responsibility for your salvation. So you don't have to, you just have to make sure that you're maintaining your well-being underneath the hand of the master, so you can keep having access to that. But in a world where you're creating that for yourself, and you were never supposed to be able to create that for yourself, it's almost going to feel like every step you take in the right direction, you only uncover a million more landmines. Every one step you take forward, it's like 100 Mike Tyson punches throwing you all the way back. And you get to a point where it's like, why the hell am I going to keep on going if I keep on going backwards? You know a way I like to understand that? You aren't being pushed backwards as a means of like humbling you, in the sense of like, yeah, F you, you don't get to you're not gonna progress on this journey, the universe hates you, blah blah blah, negativity. What I really believe that is hey, we're gonna push you back because yes, you're doing what you're supposed to do, but we need to make sure that you remember why you're leaving these circumstances. You know why you're being pushed down to these depths. We need you to experience this yourself, so you are making the decision based off your experience and your intuition. You're not making the experience based off the fear of somebody else accepting or validating you. And from developing that awareness of your immediate, what you can control, your immediate circumstances, it gives you an opportunity to realize there's so much more you have to surrender to, and you just have to believe is working on your side in your favor than even stressing that there's an opportunity, even the slightest, that it's not. Because now you're creating opportunity to focus on negativity. You're creating opportunity to dissuade you from the opportunity that, again, both opportunities, positive or negative, don't exist. But your belief is going to greatly influence which one of those can manifest in this life. So this journey should show you, I was so afraid and I needed to control so much of either myself or my reality to deal with that fear and that anxiety. But on this new path that I'm on, I'm releasing all that I'm attaching myself to that is manufacturing this suffering, manufacturing this fear and this anxiety. And I'm allowing myself the space to be free enough to cling onto and to align myself, really not cling onto, but align myself with opportunities that support me in the life that I want to live. But I have to know that as I start this journey, there's a lot that has to get broken down and torn off and torn apart from me, from my clenched hands, before I'm able to open them up to receive the blessings that are meant for me. But I won't be able to appreciate if I'm not even in a position to see them or to appreciate them, because I'm still attached, clinging on to my trauma, clinging on to my past, clinging on to all that doesn't serve me, because that's where I've left my identity. And I'm afraid of even losing that identity at the mercy of giving up everything that I have the potential to be. This is a very important little line here. I've made a YouTube video about this, and I'm sorry, I should have plugged it in here. Just make the decision in front of you. You're going to realize there's a certain amount of habits and routines that you have that you're going to need to support yourself in your living. Make sure you have those and you commit to those. Now, for the greater aspect of your life, the longer, like the legacy part, the lifestyle part, the longevity aspect of it, you're going, especially if you're a creative person and you're an artist, you have to surrender to whatever the art is leading you to, or wherever the art is taking you. And even on top of that, you have to surrender to not knowing step 5 through a million or 5 through infinity, so you can focus every drop of energy you have on steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and doing it in that order. Because one thing you're going to realize, especially as a creative person, especially in this very hyper drug addictive creative world, most people have amazing ideas. Most people have amazing creative projects just sitting inside of them, sitting on their heart, sitting on their mind, maybe even on the tip of their tongue. There's a desire to do all the things and no intention or no plan to even do anything. So the fear that you may have as to not being as creative or as talented as all these other people, no, maybe you're just somebody who needs to put some structure in and to release the externals and really just go tunnel vision on what you know you are, and then surrendering to what you become on the other end of pursuing that. Because you might even find out you're not even supposed to be this type of artist. Maybe you want to be a filmmaker, but really you're supposed to be a chef. But you'll never figure that out until you starve long enough on this journey attempting to be a filmmaker, cooking yourself meals and realizing those meals that you're cooking are so good that you pivot into culinary arts, and then now you own your own restaurant. But how would you have ever been there if you never pursued filmmaking and had to starve to cook your own meals? Are you thinking about that? Or maybe we're still thinking about, I'm going to go to school for 12 years, and then I'm going to get a degree, and then I'm going to have a job for 60 years, and I'm going to assume that I will have a pension and Social Security at the end of that. Dude, we live in a reality. You're about to see elderly people on the streets, dog. On the streets. So let's focus up on years 1 to 5. At best, especially if we're in this transitional phase from narcissistic abuse. Let's focus on years 1 to 5. Now, we have discussed this with the habits and routines, but anybody, this is just an important aspect that I want us to be able to make sure that we're holding as a community. Anybody can make adult decisions. Very few people can make adult sacrifices or uphold the responsibility that comes with being an adult. I'm going to further explain that. Many people, even children, can take drugs, drink alcohol, engage in intercourse. Like, anybody can make adult level decisions for themselves. You have to be able to recognize that just because you smoked your first joint at 13 years old, it doesn't mean that you're more mature or more of an adult than somebody who waited until they were of legal age to go purchase that and then consume that. We have to start focusing on, especially in this hip hop rap, like internet gangster era that we're coming out of as like social media or children of social media. We have to focus on the people who can actually uphold the responsibilities that come with being an adult, and then see how, as creative people and people who will uplift the culture, how we can integrate our own creative fun and lifestyle into upholding the responsibility fundamentally. Not trying to gain validation in adulthood by doing a bunch of perceptively adult shit. Because you're going to quickly find yourself in adult circles, but full of adult children that aren't having any kind of coherent conversation, aren't making any kind of life-changing or life-impacting decisions, aren't making any kind of moves to positively influence themselves, because all they're doing is clinging on to the validation or the community that allows them to still behave like a child. But even if they're grown, though, even if they have money, even if they drive nice cars and they have a house, turn our attention. If you're in my community, you turn your attention to who can uphold the responsibility. And again, I'm not saying everybody's perfect, but let's start to put focus on and appreciation to those who can respect the relationships that they're in, those who can be present for and raise their families, those who can actually pay bills on time, and when they can't, they can seek opportunities to provide for the people that they're raising. Let's start showing our energy and our attention, our appreciation to those people, and remembering that's the foundation that we're going to stand on top of, and anything is possible off of that foundation. But just on the complete contrary of that, where anything is possible off the foundation of responsibilities and necessary sacrifice, anything is almost impossible when the only thing we do is attempt to create a life off the foundation of making these socially validated adult decisions. And more times than not, many of us, especially coming out of narcissistic cults or like narcissistic relationships, are so depleted of proper necessary validation, we're automatically on the chopping block for anybody who's willing to put us up to do anything stupid for the sake of gaining that validation. And then we can find ourselves in not just toxic relationships, but toxic communities, literally creating new identities that exclusively seek validation at the mercy of our well-being. Thinking that we've been accepted, thinking that we're being approved, but we're not. We're being sacrificed by others for their entertainment. And if that's something that you like to do, if you're a comedian, you're an entertainer, go and be that. But as somebody, as on a human to human level, and somebody who's chosen to pursue this course that I'm giving you, this healing session I'm giving you, let you choose to be people's entertainment. Don't let you be at the mercy of being other people's entertainment, because the second you need to be humanized or you need actual help on the other side of that, they're not going to be there because that's not entertaining to them. They don't want to invest in your well-being. They want to invest in the entertainment that comes from you probably not being well, or you willing to sacrifice your real opportunities for a quick little shell of validation. So understand, when we're pursuing this life, we don't even seek to engage with the same type of people that we were engaging with. We don't even want to look with the same eyes, the same fear, the same resentment that we were looking in this life with. We want to take all of this pain that we're turning and we're alchemizing into passion and just fuel it into this life that we're creating, because that's what we deserve. We've spent so much time sacrificing ourselves for other people. We've spent so much time putting ourselves to the side and suppressing our emotions, how we feel, how we care about who we are, genuinely, for many people. And we're walking into a world that's incentivizing the self-destruction of self-concept, forcing people to bend at the knee, literally cutting their legs off below the knee so they can bend to a knee to the king of our society. Instead of creating, again, this ecosystem, this environment of people who are willing to dig into the depths of who they are and share that with the world and inspire the world to be more human and appreciate our humanity and our existence on the other side of that. But again, I'm the crazy one, so I'll take that as a my name is crazy and just keep on going with all the bullshit I'm saying. Final part, which is an amazing conversation, which I'm going to have to do an analysis or like a reaction to it. Great conversation that was had between Rick Rubin and this is going to sound fucked up. So if you're reading this, if either or all of you or any of you guys who know this guy are reading this, this is just what they call him. Like every single YouTube video I've seen, they call this dude like some like young genius of art. So that's why I put that there. But these two are having a conversation. I believe they're having a conversation, or it was not a conversation. Rick Rubin said something, and then this dude, Jacob Collier, is having a conversation with these other dudes, which I forget their name. I apologize. I should credit you. And Jacob Collier disagrees with Rick Rubin in the stance that he says, or the stance that he gave, which was the artist should be making their art almost exclusively for themselves, and the audience comes last. Not in the sense that you don't care about the audience. This is me siding with Rick Rubin. Not that the audience, you don't care about the audience and you're just shelling them off crumbs and like the throwaways of what you actually desire. But to keep the art authentic to how the art sounds and the art is received by the artist has to be the one that has the relationship with the art and the relationship with themselves enough to know that their initial relationship is the most important thing. Any of the art that they create, even if they create the perfect cookie cutter art from what's following the trends on TikTok or Billboard or whatever, it's still not going to connect on a level that is anything but conditionally and trendy and just something that is cool to vibe with while we're still seeking something that can actually make us connect to something on a deeper level. When you go on this journey of letting the art, and in our case as healing from narcissistic abuse, when we are pursuing healing for ourselves first, not in the sense that we're only making this for ourselves, but for the sense that to create the best art, to live the life that we want, to make sure that we're doing everything to the fullest, we have to fill our own cup first. Once we start doing that, it's a lot easier to not only be selfless and to share who we are with the world, a world that we thought was already taking everything from us or constricting us from accessing anything, restricting us from accessing anything. But on top of that, we also get to connect. It's this very unique relationship that you have with, whether you want to call it the ether or the universe or your own soul, but it's this very, very, very unique relationship that you have with it. And in you being able to surrender to it and its intuition and its desires and dreams and visions. Again, mind you, not just completely going to Lulu, but being able to hear that voice that is within you, desiring to be more creative, more artistic, more non-traditional, but also being able to have the support and the sustenance beneath that in the real world, like an income, a support system, some housing, and some healthy routines. Dude, then it's only a matter of time before you, in expressing yourself, shine that light to the people who are attracted to it and also want to support you in being able to share that light. But I think that's the place where Jacob Collier, and again, I have to still watch the interview again. I think that's where Jacob Collier is missing the point. He's thinking that Rick Rubin is saying that you're creating the art for you, like art that you like, at the mercy of creating something that can be appreciated by the audience. But in this aspect, we're prioritizing the relationship that the artist has with themselves and the art, so the art can even mean any fucking thing to the audience who's going to receive it, because the audience's only connection to the art from the ether is through the medium of the artist. Now, as this relates to our circumstance, the connection that the body, that the victim of narcissistic abuse, you probably, your connection to this, not your audience necessarily, but your new life, which comes with community and audience and culture, it's it doesn't come from going out into the world outside of you and enduring all this more pain and trauma and suffering as a means of like fixing you into awareness. You deciding to sacrifice the validation that is hanging out here, the illusion of completion and acceptance, and being able to dig in and create that acceptance within is going to show you the path that you're going to take, and it's going to allow you the knowing of what path you're supposed to be on, even if the world outside of you isn't ready to appreciate you in that identity or in that light yet. And life can be about you for your world rather than you don't exist and all you do is serve the world outside of you or the relationship that is taking advantage of you. Because there is some kind of healthy reciprocation, there is some kind of healthy compensation that can happen, especially as a creative person, especially as an artist. But we live in a world where chasing and even gaining like conditional forms of validation, like likes and views and even a little bit of money, is more important than being able to surrender to the artistic, the creative process, all of it. And again, in art, I love the creative process and how it relates to the healing journey, because if you really think about it, the traditional consumer that gains their identity by consuming it through like buying it in retail or like in society, they're afraid of breaking their mask. So they're attempting to basically tattoo and graffiti and sticker their mask with everything that allows them the validation they hope to receive in the world. But one thing that an artist knows, and one thing that a broken soul or a healing soul understands, very similarly, is that even with a broken mask, we can still paint that in a way, we can still reconstruct that in a way to make that look even more beautiful than a traditional mask, because of our creative ability, because of our desire to see the diamond in the rough before it has even been created yet. But as an artist living in a non-autistic, my bad, as an artist living in a non-artistic world, you have to realize that the front end of that journey, more times than not, unless you're in a creative community, is going to be very lonely, very isolating, but it's very necessary because it allows you to see who you are and to decide who you're even doing this life thing for. After you have been doing life for somebody beyond yourself and sacrificing your independent life for that. Okay, now we spoke about this. We spoke about this a lot in the purge process, and I'm glad that we were able to get that out of the way. And so we'll just do like a real quick recap. But how are we going to go about establishing the foundation for independence? Because again, we're not just running away here. We've left, so we can decide what decision we're going to make. Again, there's a necessary transition period after leaving. So we decide whether or not, okay, well, is this the second step in helping me redetermine if those are people I can go to and reconnect with? Or is this the second phase that's telling me, yeah, that's the place I'm never going back to, and now I have to go? But now once we've already made that decision, we've already cleared the way for this new life, and we're not just in this limbo of waiting for something to come pick us up. Because even that, like the I don't know what word I'm trying to use right now, but the static between waiting to be saved and just like self-salvation, that is very, very overwhelming and can lead a lot of you guys to go right back to what's convenient, not what's healthy, what's convenient. Because for many of us, we have to still create habits and routines to help develop a relationship with what's healthy. Because for many of us, we weren't even allowed to appreciate what was healthy. Because we weren't even allowed to accommodate ourselves in a way that would allow us to be healthy. Shed the skin. This is figurative, not literal. Shed the skin. You're suffocating. in the expectations, in the visions, in the dreams, maybe even in the nightmares. Forgive me, take dreams back of your old life. From that, in this new shell, you now have to learn how to feed this body. You're almost learning how to reintegrate your awareness back into your body. And then from recognizing that your body has its own needs and desires and dreams, now you're learning how to balance serving those and discovering those while also engaging with a world outside of you. And relationships that we're looking for now are ones that are going to be cognizant of our inner world and the work that we're doing there, but also respectful of the world that we're creating outside of ourselves. And hopefully want to support that. But it's very important. When we go through this purge process, it's reminding you that there are certain depths within your own heart, within your own soul that only you can go to. And the best thing that other people can do is lead you there and remind you that you still exist and you will still be loved on the other side of accessing your depth. For many of us, the fear is losing love or losing acceptance, losing community when addressing this pain. So that's why it's just easier to throw it in the lockbox, the Pandora's box, than it is to make sure that we just surrender ourselves to it and whatever it can turn us into. Through caring for yourself, you basically warm the body to a place to where you can now create. You're safe enough to not only release the past, but you're safe and malleable enough to mold the future that you're creating. This is I don't want to do too much explaining here because we speak so much about this, and if you want more explanation about this specifically, like, you can always ask me, but I'll make a whole bunch of videos on it. I just want to make sure that we're getting to the main part, which is I keep on trying to say point and part at the same time. Maybe I'm just dehydrated. You see me checking my peripherals right there? We have to recognize that this journey has forced us to reject everything on the inside and then suppress ourselves beneath a mask that allows us to be validated by our narcissist, because that's how we gain survival. All right? How about no? We're trying to say what this is. The foundation isn't just the foundation of the life that you're living outside of yourself. The foundation is you digging into yourself, accepting what is there, and being able to come out with the Excalibur or a trophy or whatever it is, but to come back with the demons that sat inside of you slayed. So you can clear up the way and just clear up your energy, your focus, your attention to believing in the future while you're building it, because that's one of the most potent energies in life, next to love, which I think is belief. I think belief is a very substantial aspect of the concept of love, or at least the verb that is love. So remember, we're not just trying to create a life that we want to be in, because if we don't believe in it, if we don't believe we deserve it, if we don't believe that we're willing to maintain it and take responsibility for it, there's no way we're going to keep it. And then we're just going to keep on finding ourselves in circumstances like the one that we tried to leave in the first place. All right. Now, I know we were getting kind of direct, and I was the past couple of slides, but right now I just want to make sure that we can sit here and just chill, and you realize that a handful of the residual pain and suffering that you're going to endure is going to come at your own hands, simply because you are still internally, probably by your inner critic, you're still punishing yourself for either not being like your peers, for not being where you want to be in life, for losing access to opportunities and relationships, for being in a relationship with a narcissist and letting that change your whole fucking life. Like, there's just so many things to be angry and frustrated about, but it's things that we can't control anymore because they don't have to deal with our present moment or the future that we're cultivating. We show ourselves grace on this journey, and it's going to take a lot of grace and a lot of space and a lot of time. But if you're willing to accept how much it's going to take, then you start to put yourself into a position where you say, well, whatever goodness, whatever grace I have, whatever graciousness, whatever faith I have in myself, I'm going to just give all of it to myself when I have it. Whatever affirmation, whatever self-belief, whatever delusion I gotta believe. But I think so many of us, especially on our healing journey, especially in America too, like this illusory grind set culture, we're so focused on what's the next thing that's going to help us heal, grow, succeed, like, but we forget that even in, especially in like workaholics, we don't want to address that a lot of these people are working so much because the second they sit down and chill for a half second, they're thinking about where they came from. They're thinking about how disrespected they've been. They're thinking about the dark side of the motivation that has allowed them to access that level of success in the world. And they've elevated or surpassed so many levels so quickly they haven't been able to cultivate or to have the foundation that would support them for those dark times, for those solitude times, for those, I should say lonely times. I apologize. I like using bigger words. But an important aspect that I've learned on this journey and that I'm starting to teach myself is not taking responsibility for the trauma that I had to endure, but taking responsibility for the healing that needs to occur. I'm gonna hold on. Give me like 2 seconds. I'm gonna write that down because I'm gonna make a TikTok on that. I'm gonna make a TikTok on that. I'm not taking responsibility for the trauma I had to endure. I'm only taking responsibility for the healing that needs to occur. Dude, I'll be a rapper a little bit, huh? Y'all fucking with that? I'll be a rapper a little bit. Little bit. But yeah, I hope that little intermission was enough to like kind of let those tears kind of fall out of your eyes, because a lot of us are absolutely destroying our lives and punishing ourselves with not accepting the fact that it's like, hey, and not even not accepting the fact, just not having anybody around us just sit there and be like, hey, you didn't deserve to go through that shit. And you don't deserve to punish yourself because you went through that. You actually deserve to live a so much better, more accessible, more amazing life because you were so able to endure that shit. And because you endured it, now you deserve, and not because you endured it, you deserve, but now that you have endured, you deserve access to the dreams that you have, especially in being able to recognize the healing that you need to do, because most people don't heal and grow from these types of relationships and circumstances. For most people, these types of relationships is the first step into an absolute downward spiral of their life. And for you, somebody who has seen the downward spiral and has had an opportunity to believe in that, but you still choose to navigate with love, navigate with intention, to move with clarity, to believe that there is goodness in this earth, even when you haven't been shown that, that is the energy this whole entire world needs. Healing or not, in love or not, that is the energy this world needs. And people like you, people like us, people like communities that we're building here deserve to be validated and supported in that pursuit. Especially because more times than not, in the communities and the circumstances we're in, we are the only person pursuing growth. So this, especially living in the social media age too, like I think a lot of kids don't realize how most of social media is like I'm saying like high school kids and whatnot. They don't understand that social media is mad fake. And when I'm saying mad fake, I'm saying mad fake in every aspect, every aspect. And life does not progress like social media attempts to make us think it does. And even worse, the opportunities of life that are being boasted and promoted on social media don't exist in the real world unless you are actually connected or have already had opportunity in the real world. You're just there's just so many more opportunities to just hate yourself and to just destroy or to not appreciate the little bits of life you do have, all for the sake of wishing you had more. But it's like, imagine if you just leveraged what's in front of you right now, and what if that's all you needed to access everything that you had the potential to be and to get in this life. But because you don't appreciate that, you're going to constantly be chasing these illusions of validation, these conditional versions of love and acceptance, which is constantly fleeting because it's never real, because it's never something that you went inside yourself to accept and to develop and to stand on with 10 feet. It's constantly being just projected by other people, whoever's popular, whoever's trendy, whoever's cool, whoever's hot, whoever's got big titties, and not by you or people that you're actually inspired by or people that you actually care about. So be gracious with yourself. Understand and this is why like I'm not like an anti-religious person. I just I would hope that it's helping you heal while maintaining the responsibility that you need to take for your life, because there's still things that you need to do to grow beyond the trauma that you've gone through. New habits, new routines, better affirmations, more important and more actually active community and network, and making sure that you can engage in a community. So when you need help individually, there's multiple people that can be there for you rather than the one person or the two, five, 10 people that you've been leaning on that may or may not be there for you. Because again, life has individualized us so much. Many of us aren't even engaging with each other like we used to, or like we had the opportunity to in worlds beyond this. I think, and again, these are the types of conversations that take a handful of sessions, a handful of tears, a handful of upset stomachs to deal with. But when you're willing to endure that and say, you know what, whatever it takes, because this is me, this is my life, this is my healing, and it's the only life I'm going to really be able to have the authority to take control over, and I have the blessing of taking responsibility over. So when we when we aren't willing to make the hard decisions that will allow us to create the life that we can love, and the easy life, if you want to call it that, then we go make the easy decisions that allow us to perpetuate and maintain the hard life that we've been living. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the what I want to conclude this slide with is social media may convince you that the person who had like an abusive father and had like emotionally enmeshed mom and was able to make it from nothing to a million in a month, like if they're going to attempt to show you that that person is what success is. But that's capitalist success, especially that like rags to riches fetishization. That's all capitalist. That's got nothing to do with like your spiritual healing, your growth, your consciousness. And many of those people, especially people who go from like nothing to a lot, like not even nothing to something, nothing to like way more than they could ever imagine, many of those people are still holding on to, again, these self sabotaging energies, these negative, toxic energies within them, because they haven't had the time to slowly develop that relationship with themselves and purge them out, or at least weed them out of themselves. And now the world is going to be the thing that not only exposes all of this darkness, but forcefully pulls it out of them as a means of making sure that the world can hold you on a string, or your community can hold you on a string to see, hey, we know who you really are. And if you decide to turn on us, we're going to make sure that nobody ever turns their or opens their arms to you. So you have to be, you won't be your only one, but from the start, you probably will be. You have to start to become your own friend at least. You have to be the person that sits there and listens to the times when you're sad. You have to be the person that sits there and gets excited with yourself when you see an opportunity come up and you can pursue it. You have to be the person that sits there and holds on to the fear and the paranoia that is the decisions you have to make. But you also have to be the person that makes the decisions anyway, because you know you're not going to be paralyzed by emotions. You're going to be living on the other side of experience. Because you don't learn anything by not doing anything. You learn by doing. And then you better learn through like understanding what you did. But show yourself grace. Be able to hold love for yourself at all parts of this journey rather than waiting to love yourself when you get to where you want to go. Because if you never get to where you want to go, one, you're never going to love yourself. And two, maybe where you want to go is directly related to the trauma that you're experiencing now. And where you actually need to be is a way different position, but you can't even perceive that because you're so deeply enmeshed in or rooted in your survival mode and trying to get out of where you're at that you think this desert over there is an oasis instead of the actual ocean that you're trying to get to. Now, this is probably going to be my favorite slide. This is my favorite slide of the day. Get comfortable being selfish. Get mad comfortable being selfish because you cannot fill anybody's cup up without any water in yours. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter what you do, what you tell people. It doesn't matter what you fill your cup up with. If you don't have any water in there, how can you fill up somebody else's empty cup with no water? Finally, it worked. Get you some cosmic nomads, rebel souls right now. Ah! Sorry, I'm just having too much fun with this shit. Now, this may be a personal perspective down here, but let's go get into it. The only way I believe, personally, I should have wrote that, but now you guys will probably believe it too, to heal existential shame is authentic self-expression. The only way to heal yourself from the hypervigilance and the anxiety that you're feeling from being like an individual being in a world that's just collapsing in on you and who you really are and your self-expression, the only way to beat this collapsing world is to shine so bright that you literally like either reinflate the world or you break this shell that is collapsing on us, freeing us into a world that anything is possible. And understanding that's going to be very chaotic, but at least putting us in the direction of seeing, hey, let's create a world where we can put a foundation beneath diversity and cultural expression rather than putting a cap on creativity and expression and then just waiting to implode this society. If you never, especially for my people pleasers, if you never get comfortable serving yourself, if you never get comfortable giving to yourself, there's only one thing that can happen. You've left the narcissistic relationship to enter another one. And what's scarier is that even if you as a codependent or as like the victim in a narcissistic relationship, even if you do find a healthy partner, you could actually be like reconstructing that relationship to still validate your codependency rather than seeing this relationship as a means to look within and be like, oh, wait a second. I wasn't ready to be in a relationship. But so many of us are so many years, so many kids, so many whatever marriages or weddings down the line before that can happen. We just try to, every however long it takes to sustain the good feelings as long as they do. Be selfish. Choose you. There's an amazing somebody like one of these hip hop channels run by like one of these. That sounds racist. One of these hip hop channels, run by millennials. was asking all these like young rappers like what is the best advice to give an artist coming up, and Tana Santana, like that Atlanta kid, he said, "Put yourself first," and I agree with that 100%. And I'm hoping everybody who, especially all of my cosmic nomads, rebel souls, you dig. Put yourself first, and realize that when you're able to do that and meet your own needs, you don't just stop doing that. You recognizing that so few people have the opportunity and really the ability to provide anything. And it is like a gift to be able to provide and to share and to be selfless. Then you're going to try to find systems that allow you to not only cultivate and sustain yourself, but to be selfless in sharing of that energy and to inspire the world in a way where we give our whole selves to the world without the expectation of getting in return, but we're able to know there's so much more of where that came from. That allows us to cling on to the world a lot less and to dig as deep as we can into ourselves, to love as much as we can, because we realize there's so much more where that came from. Now, we again, we've spoken about this, and a lot of these next couple slides, I'm really starting to realize I think I've yapped straight through all of them. So I apologize for doing that because I think very cyclically, and life, especially non-autistic people, live very linearly. So I'm just hoping that you can stay along for the roller coaster, but there is a point A and a point B. Well, there is an A and a Z, but we're not going straight A, B, C, D. It may be a handful of other shit to get to Z, but we will get to Z. Just remember that. Again, you will. The only reason we're experiencing, and this is what an interesting perspective I learned about the lone wolf, because wolves they don't even choose to be lone. Lone wolves are just apart from a pack while they're looking for a new pack to be a part of. But wolves move in packs. So one thing that I don't even know why the hell I said that. I'm starting to realize. Oh, no. The reason why I brought that up is because we aren't trying to create an identity out of this loneliness. We aren't trying to sit ourselves in this like kind of healing our trauma. We're just getting so excited with like being able to heal trauma. Okay, now I'm just gonna sit here and be like a engaging in trauma forever. Like there's a whole other life for you to live on the other side of being able to take care of yourself. You just didn't have the opportunity or the blessing of being able to be given that by the people that you came here with or the relationships that you've been brought into this world with. And that is fucked up. And to address that, we are going to what? We're going to release everything that we can't control to focus on everything that we can, everything that's right on our plate, because there's nothing else that we can eat unless somebody else is not eating on their plate and they're focusing on somebody else's food. Then we can also go and eat that shit too. But remember, being able to figure out what we can be responsible for doesn't only put us in a position to be hyper independent. It shows us what we need others to help us for and what type of community we would love to have assist us in helping do the things that we do best. But on top of doing the things that we do best, we can share that with others that complement us in our weaknesses. Personal responsibility, just like the lone wolf analysis I'm giving here, the lone wolf analogy. We're learning how to take care of ourselves and how to be a fully functioning, participating human being in our own life after not even being able to line up our awareness with our own being to serve our own needs. And then from that, we take that to community. Okay? Everything that I say, like anything that I say with the self is always going to be the self is the medium between the inner universe that only you can access and the outer universe that is the expressed reality of this world that all of us are fortunate enough to participate in with each other. Theory time. Screenshot this. All right, that's all you got. I have this personal theory. Maybe this could be true for all people, like all like neurotypicals and holistics, and but as a neurodivergent person in a world that like has constantly shelled off human rights for like
And library patrons, please come join us in the children's area. If you'd like to read to the dogs, please read to Noah today.
read to the dogs. No, no, I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm not. I'm not playing. That's actually how I be. I don't like people. But because we exist in this capitalist society that sacrifices humanity as long as you're poor for the sake of increasing profits of people who already have access to having all their needs met, I've discovered some of us actually don't just have one brain that we're working with. And I don't know how much this has to do with that, like those claims that people make. Oh, you're only using 30% of your brain, but if you took this pill, you're going to be using 100% of your brain, and you could talk to Instagram models and go ride on yachts in Miami. I don't believe that the brain is the only the brain inside the head, the skeletal. I don't think that's the only brain that we have. One, I'm not going to do any research on the claim I'm about to make right now, so I'm praying that I'm right about this because this is a research report from like years ago that I've been that I'm trying to track back. There are neurons in your intestine, neurons in your intestine, in your heart, and in your brain. Neurons. Like neurons, like brain things, thinking things, information processors, I'm pretty sure, in these other areas of your body. And what is that reinforcing in me? Especially somebody who is just like almost like has like a like in love with the number three and just like the knowing that three is the balance point of this reality that we live in. It's not necessarily that you have three brains that work the same way as your brain. There's three types of intelligence that your human body is actively cultivating. And if you are not treating your body as an ecosystem of these three levels and three types of intelligence so they can not only feed off of each other, but work in tandem with each other, it is very, very, very likely that you are living a life of internal dysregulation and attempting to take medications or to treat it through negative coping mechanisms to sedate these inner waters that are really dysregulated because they're calling for you to address yourself in a different way. But probably because you're poor and you can't afford to have access to a variety of choices, can't afford to have access to privilege that many people do in this country, whether it's whiteness or it's riches. You can't even be safe enough to know that this exists. And if you knew the importance of this connection, this like threefold triangle connection of the three intelligences of the body, then you'd realize, oh, I don't constantly need to buy stuff from Lululemon, or I don't have to constantly buy a bunch of things or get a bunch of tattoos or get all these like modifications to myself as a means of being included or accepted by society. Because really at this point, it's not even in our society we live in, it's not even being accepted. It's simply about being included in this constantly changing digital culture that like it just runs through and rampages everything. But understanding the body and the self as something like this and being able to serve the self as like a almost like three toddlers in a trench coat standing up trying to be like an adult human being. If you could look at your body like that, then you go, oh, like to get to get through security with this three-person one body trench coat, I'm going to have to make sure everybody is taken care of underneath the trench coat. This is not just because I put a trench coat over this, it doesn't mean that this is just one person now and the only person that needs to eat is the person on the top of the pyramid. Now we all have to care for each other. The person on the bottom has to have strong legs. The person in the middle has to be strong core and a strong support. balance. The person on the top has to be able to balance, has to be able to direct, has to be able to make sure that the people on the bottom know how to move cohesively. I was trying to find a way to say that without going the human centipede route because that shit traumatized me so much when I watched that movie. Please never look that movie up ever again unless you don't want to like open your eyes again. Actually, the nightmares you'll get off that are going to be so horrible. You might only live with your eyes open after watching that shit. But I just wanted to throw in my theory here as to adding on to why traditional Western psychological and mental health resources are absolute bullshit and just purely like promotion of or propagandized eugenics. Because how are we going to abandon this very, very, very simple understanding, biological understanding of the human being and accommodating this? At least creating a society or some kind of community that does. Oh, because it's easier to separate this brain, the body with, okay, we need to abuse the body in this way to promote productivity and infinite profit of capitalism. We need to sedate the heart so you don't have any kind of internal calling. You don't have any type of creativity or imagination that can separate you from the fold and the cult psychosis we want to make sure that we're indoctrinating everybody with. And we want to make sure that we abuse the brain so much just filling it up with things to regurgitate rather than allowing the brain in its uniqueness to leverage intelligence, to leverage wisdom and intellect. So we just jam a whole bunch of things in there, hoping that it's the only thing that sticks. And the lies that we feed the brain become the reality, not only of the user of the body, which is the awareness, but also affect the way that that body can engage in our reality because of how enslaved and held down they are by the beliefs that they hold in their own fucking brain. And mind you, all of these have been individualized. And on top of that, there's a bunch of industries on top of these three individualized institutions that have been individualized for the sake of making as much capitalist profit as possible. And I said this in section 1 about healthcare being privatized and how basically the whole entire United States is about to get privatized. I'm really trying to let you guys know there is no federal government to protect any average person anymore. Like, not only do you have to go out of your way to make sure that you're paying every single individual bill, now every single aspect of our society is going to have a price tag on it, and that price is going to be gouged, or gauged, forgive me, but gouged is a perfect word to use, by the billionaire who looks at the 5 yachts they already have and the 400 million they have in the bank and thinks that's not enough. So now your clean oxygen tank, because we don't live in a world that promotes like environmentalism or like healthy environments. Yeah, that's going to cost you $1,000 this month instead of $100 from last month because we got to buy another yacht. I got to compete with my billionaire friends. You can read that yourself if you want, or I can read it to you because I know you like my voice and you want to hear a bedtime story at some point. At some point, I'm either going to be doing one of three things with the voice: R&B, R&B music, erotic audio, or ASMR. A strong mind and a sound heart are your greatest weapons in the land of illusions. And the worst part is that being able to actually utilize these in your life is going to make you a villain, a super villain in the community of the ignorant. I wish I wrote that at the end. Now, a lot of the self-actualization aspect of this course and like the developing, this is just me giving you a framework as to what you can use as you're on your journey of self-discovery. The reason why I'm not telling you this thing as like facts, one, because I need a bunch more of you guys to understand this type of reality, but two, because I want you to realize as a healer, as a professor, as a teacher, if you want to call me, whatever you want to call me, I'm reinforcing the relationship that we have in helping you take as much responsibility and creative control over your circumstances as possible. So slowly, but surely over time, you will need me less and less and less for just me as an individual. And you will realize what you really need are the people in your community that you're building. What you really need is the ability to access skills and a network to access purpose and access opportunity, whether it comes through employment or it just comes from being a part of a movement. I'm helping you realize, hey, you've had your hands tied like this and been dragged across the street on the asphalt by somebody else for their entertainment. Now you're free from that. You're taking care of yourself, you're healing, you're growing from that pain. But on top of that, we're also deciding what we're going to do with these hands instead of just keeping them clenched like Lego characters because we're so afraid as to, okay, well, if I start building something, maybe they're going to come back and destroy it. If I start working on something, if I start giving myself to something, maybe fear, anxiety, animosity. We have to allow that the voice of that inner critic to literally separate ourselves from it so much that we are literally looking at it every time it starts to speak. Because we know that we don't even align with a voice inside of us that doesn't respect our growth process, that doesn't respect how much work we've already done to grow and to become a person that we can accept and love. We're not going to put up with a voice in our head, a lingering voice in our head that's telling us, you're not good enough, you don't deserve this, you can't have this, because even giving that shit credibility, especially if you created that voice in your head yourself, even giving that shit credibility is the opportunity to open the door to destroying everything that you've already built for yourself. And why would you even want to take one step back on this journey when you can just keep on taking more steps forward, keep on building more things, keep on creating new things, keeping on being a part of new stuff, and keep on creating a new life for yourself? Because as long as you can create, nothing genuinely ever dies. You know I love the number three and just all facets of three. In my no con in my not my no concept in my self concept to self actualization course, we'll get way more into this, and I'll definitely have some more case studies as to how people have amplified or leveraged these types of systems that I've created. So I'm glad to see where you guys take them. But I want you to know we're not just walking into a new relationship or going to a new city and expecting the city to have everything for us. I'm not saying that this seems like work in a life where you haven't been able to take responsibility in a way for anything that can reciprocate to you, like wellness and like accommodation. When you realize that, oh, the investment I put in can be matched and even not, maybe not matched, but reciprocated to a way that I also have energy and I also have abundance and accommodation to invest in myself. Like I'm not just existing to be a slave. What? And not just a slave for employment, but a slave to somebody else's emotions who can't even take care of their own damn self. What? Imagine what I could do with all that energy, loving energy, not even energy based on fear for my survival, but energy based on the love for myself and the potential that I have in this life. Imagine if I even put a drop of that into myself with the same delusion that I put in believing this narcissist was a good person, knowing that I am the good person who deserves great things. Oh, unstoppable. When you just happen to line that up with the opportunity to genuinely create, genuinely really start creating from within a new life, I'm telling you, you feel unstoppable, unstoppable. But it's on the other side of all the rejection that's going to come from people who aren't this self-aware, people who don't care about their lives, people who don't genuinely want to be anything more than their circumstances because it's so scary. Take a screenshot of this, and we're going to go to the next page. Again, see, this is why I don't go too much into describing because I leave the list here for you. I have the diagrams here for you. Oh, and also, forgive me. I know that looks like a Star of David. That has nothing to do with the Star of David. And I apologize if any Jewish people feel disrespected by me leveraging this for this. Nothing to do against those people. All love, all respects. Um, I need this is just how it appeared in my brain. And again, there's a structure called the Merkaba, and it'll allow this to make more sense to you if you aren't familiar with why I'm using your symbol, claimed symbol, on my project. Look at all these things that you could do. And think about this. In nowhere have I included gossiping about other people who you don't know. Nowhere have I included hooking up with your toxic ex because you feel lonely. This is not the same. Nowhere have I included getting 6 extra side hustles to pay for like the Bugatti that you think is going to make you feel like a bad bitch. Nowhere have I included, but look at all these other things. And the crazy thing, most of these things are low cost to free. This is why we live in a society that randomly jacks up prices to everything or puts these exorbitant prices here and not here. And it's just this nonsense with values that are constantly being manufactured by the money makers of this society. But the point I'm trying to say is that just look at the title. True power isn't control over other people. It's taking that responsibility that you have over yourself. It's being able to look up in the universe and thank the universe, whatever blessing, whatever energy is blessing you today, and thanking that for giving you an opportunity to make a decision, even if the only decision you made was getting up. Okay. It's and the more and even this is the amazing part about taking responsibility rather than trying to control. When you take responsibility, you inherently release the consequences of whatever you're pursuing to whatever the outcome is, rather than controlling something and then creating this projected expectation that will inevitably be disappointed, because reality does not give a fuck about your expectations. Reality is going to keep on going, and you're going to keep on having expectations, and you're going to keep on having them blown over if you don't find a way to align them with the reality you live in, or at least make them strong enough to beat through the beatdown that is reality constantly changing every day. Look at all of these things we can take responsibility for in our own life, and we don't have to do all of them. That's what's amazing about being a part of a community and being on a planet in a world full of 8 billion people. Dude, people can do separate things and specialize in what they do. How about the homie that I connect to is a breathwork instructor. I go to the gym with my homies. And then from the gym, we go to my spot or we go to their spot and we cook some food. And then we go individually to our own places and we take care of our grooming. We take care of our self-care. We make sure that we have our wind down and our wake up routines. We make sure that when we're engaging in intimacy, it's intentional and we are willing to uphold the consequences or respect the consequences that come with intimacy. Maybe some of us like to do visualization when we're developing the lifestyle or manifesting the life of our dreams. And some of us like to journal the life of our dreams into our reality. But some of us like to listen to meditations and almost like affirming reality concepts and ideas to then integrate that reality into our psyche. I want you to genuinely, especially if you are fortunate enough to be unemployed and to have some kind of support system, take time to dig into all these and realize the one it's not going to be the one that feels the best when you do it the first time. The things that you keep on doing or you keep on writing down to do, you keep on pursuing in spite of how boring they are, in spite of how monotonous it feels. Those things that you keep on digging, you keep on putting your hands into, digging your whole self into. And you're going to realize, oh my goodness, I can replace some of the things that I do in my regular life with these things. And even better, I can replace some of the bad habits that I have with these things. And doing that is either going to transform the people that I'm hanging around, or it's going to help them be inspired to take advantage of these opportunities that we can control and integrate into our lives, so then we can change our lives together. And I'm telling you right now, there's nothing better than being able to come from the bottom with people that you care about and being able to develop and change and to grow into the fullness of your potential with people who are also relentless on their path of trying to dig into all they can be. So take time to go through all of these, but again, no expectation with what is going to resonate best with you. For some of us, we need to write in that journal. We don't need to pick up the bottle and drink. We don't need to pick up another blunt and smoke it. We don't need to have more sex. We need to sit there with our emotions and we need to write. Because maybe that will teach us, oh my goodness, I'm a storyteller. Not that I'm lying, but it's just like the way I articulate myself is so amazing. I'm a storyteller. Or maybe I articulate myself in a way that I'm an educator and I can help people heal through the places that I've already endured. Like I really want us to realize that when we reject ourselves off rip and then go into the world seeking for acceptance or seeking for an identity, we're at the mercy of the opportunities other people create for us, which is usually in a predatory sense. But when we allow ourselves, to be to try to experiment, to grow through these different habits and routines and figure out what applies to our life, that allows us to, at an even greater extent, be at the mercy of our intuition, but not intuition that is screaming from the inside of us out of fear. Intuition that is calling from within us to be heard, to be expressed, to be shared with the world. And that energy that is from within you that you are sharing with the world is the potency, the frequency that is going to connect you with other people, like-minded people, like energy people, and help you get to where you're trying to go. But remember, it's the answers aren't found in other people. Other people are just here to help you find the answers in yourself. And then you share yourself with the world and engage with community, with others, with connections, with culture that help you do that in the most active, engaged, intentional level that you can. I'm not sure how early I could have included this slide, but I'm glad I put it in here and I didn't forget it. That self-esteem you're looking for isn't coming from being accepted by other people. It's coming from you accepting yourself. And what's crazier is that it's coming from you accepting yourself in the face of the rejection that you're so afraid of having to endure by expressing yourself. So let's go ahead and just invert the psychosis that we were just drowning ourselves in, thinking that we could somehow be accepted for who we are by not actually being ourselves, because that's never going to fucking happen. But what will happen is being ourselves, sharing our truth, expressing that vulnerability, authenticity is going to expose the insecurity within the people who are around us, who are phony, who are fake, who are masking, who are not who they say they are. Good. Leave and create space for people who are supposed to actually care about me for who I am and who I am in this world, bro. If the only thing that you can be in this world is yourself, why the fuck would you try to be somebody else and think that that is going to fulfill you at the same level that yourself will? Just because your external circumstances or environment aren't willing to validate that in you or support you on the process of becoming that. Like, I understand overthinking, but let's not be stupid here. Self-esteem is going to come from being ourselves and then being able to accept ourselves or being forced to accept ourselves. Not from being something else, gaining acceptance, and then constantly being at the mercy of being whatever it is that gets us acceptance, especially if it's at the mercy of somebody's deciding what it is that can get us acceptance, because that type of power corrupts any human being. Now, into the fun parts. Into the fun. Again, remember what I said, that I'll never just make healing content or healing courses, whatever, healing sessions. None of this will ever be, okay, I lost myself, so I'm going to find myself, and then I'm going to punish the whole entire world by making my life about myself. That's not what we're going for here. What we're going for is I want to make sure that I am not punishing the further connections I make beyond myself and beyond the abuse with the unhealed, unresolved trauma that I came from. Because that can lead me to fuck up great relationships, great potential relationships and connections, and even access to community, because I wasn't in the headspace to see that, hey, this is my fault that I'm sabotaging this. And it may be the trauma that I endured that is making me make this decision, But if I am not willing to face myself and to rip the sword out of my own hands that is destroying everything that is in my life, then the only person there is to blame is me. It doesn't matter how many relationships I get into, how many places I go to, wherever I travel. The only person to blame will be me. And because this is like real healing that we're doing here, I don't want you to pursue healing or growth from their perspective of self-hatred, especially the way that Americans do in this like self-development grind set culture bullshit. Like that's just, oh, you hate yourself? How about you do a million things that can help you forget that you hate yourself instead of like figure out why you hate yourself and what circumstances could have led you to actually believing that. Because the only next step to believing that is manifesting opportunities to hate yourself in your reality and then affirming that hatred in your reality. So let's go ahead and we need to we develop that relationship with ourselves so we can trust. We're not going to be able to be appreciating relationships for what they have the potential to be if we aren't even able to trust that other people have the potential to be good or other people can be good. And the situation that we were in is actually not a regular experience. It's a very irregular experience. And it's something that human beings shouldn't go through. And many human beings, if they knew that that was the circumstance or the potential of the relationship, they never would have been in there anyway. But it's again, the narcissist is not just some shitty person that gets like a bunch of love from everybody. This person is playing a game, and more times than not, they play the mask that they're wearing so damn well that they are the mask. And you aren't believing in them, and that's why it's so difficult to like to blame people for believing in the narcissist, because they're not believing in anybody. They're believing in the mask as long as the mask can uphold that connection, and just long enough for the belief in the mask to be real enough to start abusing the victim. And then using the abuse to reinforce the enmeshment of the relationship and the complete degeneracy of the relationship, because nobody should be abusing you or hurting you if they say they love you in a relationship. With intention, of course. Like, come on. Like, love is going to hurt. Life is going to hurt, but not with intention. Are you kidding me? Like, we're in relationships so we can handle the struggle and the suffering together, so we can support each other. Like, why are we in a relationship if I am going out into the world suffering and then turning to you and getting shit on as well? It goes for anybody. It goes for anybody. This, I'm telling you right now, especially if you're a neurodivergent person in this reality, you being able to find a community of other people that are like you and not just like have endured the same circumstances as you, because that could lead a whole bunch of ways. But to have people that their brain works similar to yours, the existential loneliness that you probably feel will be so radically flipped over. It's not even going to feel like it's the other side of a coin. It's going to feel like you just picked up a completely new coin and you're on the front side of that one. So I'm telling you right now, the solitude may be the most difficult thing that you have to endure. But it's that difficult. And the reason why on the chart that I made, there's the two prongs, if you want to call it that, and then just the very thin line, because you want this path of solitude to be so real and so authentic to you that the only people who will be able to even recognize you or even engage with you on the other side of that process will be people who always knew who you genuinely were and genuinely wanted to love that. They just weren't able to. And people who want to support you because they see who you are and they actually want to be there. But it'll just create too much space and energy for the people who don't like you to keep working their way in unless you allow them to come in. Which, how are we going to address that? Boundaries, 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 boundaries. This is, I could have added this right to the end of being selfish with yourself, filling your own cup up first. But I think it works even more perfectly right here as it pertains to relationships. We set boundaries not to be the villain. The intention is not to be the villain. Ain't nobody said that we woke up on the wrong side of the bed every damn day. The intention is to be real because we are already on the other side of enduring the impossible circumstances. Like, are you kidding me? Narcissists will go out of their way to impregnate people, to financially sabotage people, to do all types of emotional, psychological warfare and abuse. And you're going to tell me that that's not going to make you a lot more cognizant as to the boundaries you have protecting the new life that you're creating? The new life that you took the time to go and purge and to go endure solitude and to birth yourself. Now you're just going to give that up for somebody who doesn't care about themselves or anybody beyond themselves? Ain't no way in fucking hell. That's never going to happen. And I don't even want you, as somebody who's in my community receiving this type of consciousness, to feel like you even have to, mind you, I'm not saying that you're not going to ever engage with a narcissist again after receiving this, but the discernment that you'll be able to have, especially the more you engage with healthy people, you're going to realize, oh my goodness. Like, I was really emotionally and psychologically naked in this world, in my circumstance, in my reality. Like, forget receiving love. Like, I wasn't even allowed to protect what I had and be myself in this little fortress of self, because I wasn't even allowed to have a fortress around myself to hold on to the love that I received, or to be able to just reciprocate within myself the love that I'm cultivating. We're setting boundaries. We're setting boundaries not only to stop people from dragging us back into hell, dragging us back into that old life that we were living, and forcing us to submit to chasing or craving the validation of the people that were in that old life that made us feel so small and so insecure. We're doing this because we want who who we are on the other side of healing is genuinely more important than who we were beforehand. And we chose to sacrifice one version of ourselves to give life to another. And because of that, the world around us has to respect the version of ourselves that we are putting out. And if they can't respect it, that is a violation of boundaries. Now, I might have just repeated myself because I was supposed to say two different things, but I think that sounds very similar to the first thing that I said. So now that I forgot both of those things completely, I may say it for a third time, but I'm going to try to figure out what that second thing was. We're setting boundaries to not get dragged back into our old life, but also to help us cultivate the energy that we are taking care of within our own self. Because even when the world isn't ready to love us, even when the world doesn't want to accept us, that shouldn't put us in a position of anxiety or of overwhelm. That should put us in a position to realize, hey, how do I want to reorganize myself to contribute to or to be received by and leveraged and utilized by the world around me, if that's what I seek. But we do this because we're not just not getting in relationships anymore. Boundaries are important for people who understand the potential for being naive and for being ignorant, but still desire to go out into the world and put their best foot out there because they still know that genuine people exist. But you just have to be responsible and respectful of the self to make sure that other people aren't willing to take advantage of you. Now, mind you, I'm only saying this for like a psychological sense because the society that we've created, women, disabled people, and even darker skinned people are at the mercy of predatory systems that don't allow them even protection if they did try to fight for themselves and protect their well-being. So I want you guys to understand that the boundaries that's our first like two-factor authentication, multi-factor authentication, Gmail password protection situation. So hopefully we can weed out the people psychologically, emotionally, or we can weed out people psychologically before we start to get attached and enmeshed with them emotionally, making it more difficult to separate ourselves from them and to even know what of this relationship is us and what is there to take back and what we need to give back to them and let consequence them. Bro, you might hate to hear this, but one of the dumbest shit that I've ever heard in my entire life was not share your dreams with the people around you. And I realized that people only say that because they're hanging around a bunch of haters. Like, dude, when you hang around people who love you and care about you, they want to know what you're focused on and what you're invested in because they want to be there as much as they can be there because they win seeing you win. Bad people only win seeing you lose because that means you're not going to make them insecure about them not winning or them losing or being a loser. It is the reason why I say, and I said this earlier, I think section 2, but share your dreams, share your visions, share your goals with people around you in okay, increments, not everything, just increments, because you want to see, you can basically triangulate a perspective or an awareness to see how people feel about you based on how they treat something that you are sharing with them that you care about. So before it becomes a child that you share with somebody and then you realize that the person hates you and the child that you just gave them, see, oh, this person doesn't even want me to go to school. This person doesn't even want me to pursue my own dreams. This person doesn't even want me to make friends outside of this house. Maybe there's more issues with that rather than thinking a kid or just giving them the Gog 3000 every day is going to serve or soothe this void inside of them that I am punishing myself thinking that I can meet the expectations of. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And honestly, I like to say, don't just walk away from people, but remember, when people disrespect you, remove respect. That's how we do things here. When people disrespect you, they're testing you to see what the waters are. If you start to remove respect automatically, they're either going to lash at you, and if they don't lash at you, they're going to be like, okay, I can't do this to this person anymore. And then they'll just move on. Now, if you're lonely, you're probably going to be like, damn, this person was playing the game with me and I wanted to play some more. And then you'll end up playing in these toxic games and getting yourself into something you should have never been in just because you wanted the thrill. And I can respect that. But I feel bad for you because you never had to be on that timeline. But when people give you disrespect, you start taking your respect away. Not disrespecting them back. You take respect back. And you say, hey, you know what? Because you're hurting me, now I have to love myself a little bit more. And if you weren't hurting me, then I wouldn't have to block myself off to love myself more. I would have an abundance of energy to share with you and to love you as well. But apparently you don't want to be loved. You just want to like jab, 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 jab until I'm the person jabbing myself. So we're gonna take everything at face value because what kind of hidden intentions do you have? Like, come on, what kind of hidden intentions could you have? I don't even want to ask. But let's get into the final thing here. Choose your enemies wisely. This is something that I really, really want to hang on to right now. Okay, good. We got time. This is something that I really, 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 really like. I'm passionate about sharing with you guys. You're not, you're not going to have enemies. Like if you don't have any people that are talking down on you, if you don't, and again, sounds kind of extreme. Forgive me. But if you don't have people who are talking down on you, confused as to what you're doing, startled, insecure about how you express yourself, you're probably doing something wrong. Now, socially, you're doing something right because you're keeping the complacency of the system and perpetuating the system at hand. But internally, you're doing something wrong. There's something inside that you're constantly sacrificing and shelling off a little bit at a time to make sure that you can maintain the peace that is externally. Mind you, if you're pursuing a big dream, think about it, even forget a big dream, if you're pursuing the hottest girl that you've ever seen, and this is just talking to the boys here, but okay, let's all look at this. Let's everyone jump into the body of a boy right now, and let's all look at this perspective from this, okay? If you're pursuing the most beautiful girl you've ever seen, do you think that nobody else wants her, or everyone's just going to freaking lay off because you chose her? No. Freaking Scott Pilgrim. Like now you have You have the toxic ex, you have the potential this person, you have the celebrity, you have the superstar, you have all these different people and all these different obstacles that are now in front of the way, that are not obstacles saying like you don't deserve this. It's an opportunity to see how bad you want it and how much you are willing to put yourself and invest yourself into getting access to what you want. But you have to realize that the best enemies and the best foes that you can ever have in this life, they're not the crash out people, the ones that have you constantly on pills and towing your strap everywhere you go. Just oh my god, someone's gonna come and take my life. Someone's gonna take my life. The best enemies are the ones that study you and that force you to study them. The ones that force you to make sure that you're constantly coming back with new tricks. The ones that make sure that you are staying committed to your path. The best enemies are the ones that don't get fooled because you've kept on pulling the same trick on them. They're the ones who are strategic, who think, who are premeditated in their behavior. They're the ones who force you to constantly dig to deeper levels of yourself in a world where you are constantly forced to just feel comfortable existing at whatever heights that you've already reached. The best enemies force you to constantly dig in yourself for everything that you can be and leave it all on the line every single time. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you have or what you lose, you are a consequence of being exactly who you say you are and doing exactly what you said you were going to do. Because there's literally nothing else you could do. But when you're sitting here again, seeking the value, and again, these aren't enemies that you have to create on your own. These are enemies that come up because you decided to pursue a dream in a city where nobody has a non-traditional lifestyle. This is you deciding to break free from a narcissistic family when everybody else has ruined their life as a means of participating in it because they were afraid of being lonely. This path, like I'm telling you, this path pursuit of whether it's greatness or it's healing or growth, it's every time it's going to come with haters first because those are the first people, those are the barriers asking you if you really want this. And the more you decide, I want this more than I want to subject myself to that bullshit. I want this more than I'm willing to subject myself to that bullshit. I want this more than I'm willing to subject myself to that bullshit. The more that I'm saying that, think about that. It's not only the connections and the support that I have that's going to be greater. It's the enemies and the challenges that I have to conquer are going to be so much greater, and they're going to require me to become so much greater than I think I am because I won't survive if I don't become greater. Think about that. The people that I love in my life and the people that I not even hate, the people that I respect out of honor because of how we are both trying to actualize the life authentic to us at the mercy of trying to like share the world with both of us and like compromise. But I'm telling you, when you realize like you're either it's kind of all connects to that quote where it's like the person who has all the friends has no friends, and it's usually the people with like very few friends that have the realest friends of all time. That's exactly what this situation is. But even better, it's when you have those deep relationships and you're pursuing that like impossible path. Those enemies again, even they play an important role because they're just like I described the best enemies. On the contrary, the worst enemies are the ones who distract you from going deep within yourself. Figuratively, of course. I know you guys may think this is like a whole like a but even your enemies are bringing the best out of you. So think about it. Wait, no, forgive me. I was losing myself. The worst enemies are the ones who distract you from digging into your soul and coming with new tricks and from re-strategizing and making new contingency plans and having that little bit of fear that almost feels like anxiety, but really it's ambition. Telling you it's when you're living a life with some kind of purpose, some kind of intention, especially when you're breaking generational curses, think about this. Your enemies are already crafted out for you. Your enemies are the people that were supposed to be on your damn team. So now you know the direction that the opposition that you're fighting against, but you're recognizing in your intelligence, in your higher wisdom, I'm not fighting against these people who traumatized me. I'm not trying to get a lick back or revenge on them. That's what they want because they know that I have the potential to be so much more than this trauma. They just want me to enmesh myself with the trauma so I feel like I can't be anything without them. Hell no. That's not what we do here. Because these types of people are distracting us from our potential, distracting us from real relationships, distracting us from our purpose, distracting us from the deep aspects of life that many of us try to escape through unhealthy coping mechanisms with, whether it's during the week or even on the weekend or on vacation. But I'm telling you right now, you have to stop hanging out with people stop hanging out with people who don't, who are ignorant enough to not even recognize who you are, who you want to be in this life. Because all they're going to do is reinforce who you are not, just to make sure that you don't change apart from them having access to you. And you will sit here and be confused as to why everything, even the things that you get from that life of acceptance and validation, is not fulfilling because it's not aligned with you. It's got nothing to do with you. It's just got everything to do with you sacrificing yourself to be accepted by them. And that's going to, I'm telling you, it's not going to last. It's not going to last. Now, I think this is something, especially as I start building my own, my own uh, economic ecosystem. I'm realizing that purpose is not some stagnant thing, and purpose is definitely just not career. Purpose really has a lot more to do, what I think, with okay, your calling is the voice that is within, that is constantly desire, like hungry for human life that's within you. And you have to feed it human life by experiencing it. But your purpose is what your being, and yourself, your awareness, your soul, I guess, or forgive me, your awareness, which is your being, and your soul, which is the infinite plug that you're connected to. Those two agree on something that has automatically become your purpose. When the voice inside of you stops fighting against the voice that is your brain, that is your mind, and when both of you are finally calm enough to speak to each other and to come to an agreement, this is not a compromise. This is somebody's going to have to surrender to the other. The soul is going to have to surrender to the mind, or the mind is going to have to surrender to the soul. But the second that process happens and you decide we are going to work together as creatively and as intentionally as possible, that's when you start figuring out what your purpose is, because that finally allows you to shed the light or to share the light with the world that can be seen by the people who are aligned with that type of frequency and that type of energy. And when you're creating that energy based on being yourself, like being authentic, that's a whole lot different than wearing a PR mask or wearing some kind of marketing identity for a brand. And a lot of you guys are going to realize that a lot of these people who are making a bunch of money doing like these, like what seem to be kind of cool stuff in the world, a lot of them are just like marketing agents, but like they're enslaved to being that identity, and they don't have the mercy of being able to surrender their purpose to whatever they feel called to do or called to be a part of. Their purpose will forever be what gives them money and what allows them the opportunity to pay their bills, or else they'll die. So again, for my creative people, you're going to realize, especially if you have the fortune of creating a lifestyle that allows you to exist above capitalism in the traditional 9-to-5 wage slavery sense, you're going to realize, oh, maybe my purpose is to not necessarily be an identity like an author or a poet or a painter or whatever. Maybe it's just to follow that calling that is within me and to stick through with the calling rather than just be sporadic and just, well, whatever I think I'm just going to do, and just to really feel what's sticking and then stick through and commit with actualizing that and becoming somebody on the other end of actualizing an idea into physical form, or at least into expressed energy, because that's the world we live in. This, the physical manifestation is expressed energy, and the ether is potential energy. It's real scientific. But again, the conversation I wanted to have with this is that our relationship to purpose and to calling, it's all related to capitalism. Because for me, and I hate even saying this because this might hopefully it doesn't get me fired, but I am not somebody who like works traditional jobs and does like heavy labor. I do because I have to pay bills, but I'm realizing I don't do that. Like I go all the way into my brain and into my soul and figure out what I care about and what I can articulate. And I share that with the world. And I know this is what I'm supposed to do. Now, knowing that is not the only thing that I want to do. There's still a bunch of other things, like whether it's um, being able to like travel the world, or being able to eat cool foods, or being able to um, engage in the sexy time with beautiful women. But I feel like my purpose is just as fluid as my awareness, just as fluid as my own like self concept and my own awareness. And I'm hoping that you guys can also, especially if you're a neurodivergent or just a non traditional life path person, just a rebel soul. Ah, rebel soul forever. I love that shit so much. Then you realize it's not about finding the job that's going to save us from drowning under capitalism. It's about being a part of the community, being a part of the ecosystem that allows us to find and to listen to that calling. And then from listening to it, supports us in actualizing it, and then gets to participate in benefiting from whatever compensation comes from that. Now, I've basically plugged this every hour of this multi-part series. But now that we're basically done here, you're going to go watch this whole entire series and you're going to enjoy this, because this is the future. Like, I really feel like I'm sitting in this limbo of life just waiting for you guys to like to pick me up, like waiting for one of these like lazy billionaires who like is trying to find out what the next like Zuckerberg is. I hate even calling myself that. But like there's some lazy billionaire who's waiting for like not even Zuckerberg. I need the billionaire who funded Adam Newman and WeWork. Get me on the line with that dude, and I'm telling you, we will make money like you don't even know exist. So that's the only person I really want to talk to you right now. Other than him, Don Valentine, Steve Wozniak, and that's about it for now. But until and Jay. I don't know what her last name is, but Miss J, the CEO of Blue Sky. I need to have a conversation with that lady over there, because that is the future. That is one of our future tech titans. You might not want to call this lady that, but that is one of our future tech titans. A lot of you guys on the left and like liberals, you're going to have to get real comfortable with seeing people in our community get real wealthy, because wealth is it's damn near like you have to buy power in this country. And if we don't even allow our influential people to have wealth and to have power and to be like fluid and flexible with it, or to even learn how to engage with it as a wealthy person, we're constantly going to be giving money to leaders, to intellectual leaders that are going to sabotage all of our resource and funding on their personal desires. So get ready, bro. Like I'm telling you right now, like if that lady isn't the president of the United States in the next like 25 years, that's the president of my United States. And you better get ready. You better get ready to see that lady with $100 million to her name. I'm adding on an integration for Blue Sky with my tribal platform. That's the reason why I'm going so heavy on promoting their platform and just promoting that lady. But it's because we as young people are creating the future, and it's because they've held us back from creating the future, thinking that we can't afford the opportunity to be creative because we can't afford art school, we can't afford instruments, we can't afford to play music in the garage because in suburbia, Karen's going to come around and shut the whole shit down. You gotta sit here and think. You gotta let them now, since like the wealthy boomer class have stolen so much access to executive leadership from other boomers, and then on top of that, millennials, Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Zers. We have to create our own economy. And we have to create an economy that can somehow be self sufficient, and on top of self sufficient, also be extensive enough to influence America in a positive way after we end up destroying this place with cryptocurrency. Because I'm pretty sure that's the scam. That's going to be the biggest scam of our generation. Bitcoin. All right, a couple of additional resources because we've concluded the video here. Thank you guys for listening all the way through, and we just got it in the nick of time. So I apologize that I can't spend any more time yapping with you because I think someone's going to come in here and kick me out in a second. But until we get there, what are some additional resources and external support that you can access as a means of helping you along this journey? Because again, I'm just the messenger. I have a whole bunch of other things that I do. Like one, this is going to take up all my time. This is going to end up taking all my time. And I genuinely wanted to be like a full-on coach, but I think I'm going to be like a life coach later on in my life. I think this entrepreneurial rock star billionaire bastard is actually who the fuck I am. And I've just been going so hard through so much trauma, like so much suffering and pain, trying to really beat the imposter syndrome to get here. And I'm here now, and I'm thankful. But let's get into more resources that will help you, because what was the whole point of this series? To realizing that you, in your alone nakedness, you deserve not just access to something that is going to heal you, but a healing ecosystem, a community of healing accommodations and support that can help love you, like the community that capitalism does not allow you to have, and raise you into the person that you can fully be. I know you're probably expecting a freaking academic journal down here. I apologize for that. Just a couple of things right here. Because again, I'm not the only person. I'm not like some cult leader who's just sitting here saying, you will listen to me because God said I am, and you are loser. Wash my feety. The first thing that you're going to do is get professional help. Mind you, I don't even mind if you share this directly with your therapist, with your psychiatrist. I'm begging that you do, because I'd hope that they take the little free time they do have outside of the work they do to research the topics that I'm describing, and hopefully add their own years, decades probably, of actual real life patient experience into the conversations I'm presenting. So it's not just me driving everybody into this like other world that like you can't be accommodated by traditional healthcare, but also so we aren't completely enslaving ourselves to the individualized for-profit healthcare system in a reality that is denying more and more and more people access to healthcare. So professional help and network is going to be huge. We'll be doing more discussions on this, like specifics, but fundamentally, you're going to want to have a therapist. You're going to want to have some kind of elder guidance or some kind of elder counselor, and you're going to want to have a family, access to a family or a community that is serving those who don't have family outside of the one or the relationship that you are actively in. And even if you just set this up as a contingency plan, like not because you're actively enduring the abuse, but you just set it up for the sake of having it there in case, I'm telling you, it's going to help you reinforce the systems and the routines and the habits that's going to allow you to be like, the lifestyle I'm cultivating almost like doesn't allow certain types of people and energy to exist around here, allowing me to reduce the opportunity that I have of even coming across of some losers. And that's something that you'll probably be very thankful for. Now, community outreach and engagement opportunities, again, I keep on saying that the world we live in is not right for this, but because of that, that's why I created Tribal. So go look at the freaking, go watch this. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing I can't say. It's not like I can't say anything. It's simply that there's too many things to fix about this system that we just have to wait for it to blow itself up and hope that we're alive on the other side of it as a means of then integrating new systems that can then be grown and invested multi-generationally to then affect the world long term in the same way that big tech has affected the world long term, but not as negatively as they have, with more positivity and intention. I'll probably put some like guides and quizzes and whatnot for people who want to make sure that they're staying up to date and active on this type of healing and this type of kind of concept. Because I don't want you to feel like it's just me yapping at you and then you sit there and listen. As fun as that is, yapping, especially yapping to a beautiful girl, just like going on a date and just opening my mouth about everything in the universe and just sitting there and just seeing eyes just look dead into mine, bro. That's beautiful. That's beautiful to me. But final part, resource library. The best resource library that you have access to right now is YouTube. And if you aren't using YouTube to listen to people who are speaking about the abuse that they're going through, therapists who are giving free sessions, and therapists who are giving free like content on there, and healers in all different modes, from holistic healers to traditional healers to privatized practice healers. If you aren't utilizing a source like YouTube and Google to seek out the information, to seek out the healing support that you desire, bro, I'm sorry, bro. Like, what do you expect me to do? Like, if you aren't even willing to go out of your own way in your own life to create, at least to even create a chance for healing to happen, then somebody like me cannot come in with any system. I can't even come into your life with the perfect system to help you, because at the end of the day, your inability to take responsibility for what you can control is going to be the thing that blows this whole entire thing up. And that convenience of not having to control and take responsibility is what leads so many of us who've gone no contact right back into the hands of a narcissist, or into the codependent relationship that is a narcissistic cult or community that we left. It's important, like when I say that addressing something like this in your life is going to force you to literally like change so much, going back is just not even going to be an option. It's not even going to be like going forward or going back. It's simply going to be like going back is just not an option, because it just doesn't make any sense. Because you don't even know how to submit yourself to that. And that's hopefully that what we got to in this series. And now that we've gone to the end, we're not at the end yet. Here's a couple more things that I do. Um, Again, you can check me out, check out all my content, or you can check out the clothing brand. I'm also coming out with the Creative Arts Collective. That's going to be huge. And I literally, right before recording this, I had a conversation with somebody who was gonna sell me like an AT&T phone plan, but we ended up having a conversation about the creative community that I'm freaking creating, and I'm realizing, oh, wait a second, like I have to create this because all of us artists are doing something else to make money instead of, let me say this right. All of us, most of us artists, unless we're fortunate enough to be wealthy and to just engage in unemployment without like the fear of like survival, many of us artists are doing some other thing that is forcing us to invest our real energy in non-creative aspect of life that stops us from being able to surrender ourselves fully to becoming the art that we seek to share with the world. So stay tuned for that. But for right now, you guys just need to start buying Cosmic Nomads. And I need to see Just a Little Psychotic, especially if you took this whole course. You're crazy. So go ahead and get a Just a Little Psychotic t-shirt from Cosmic Nomads Rebel Souls. That's going to be up. That's going to be available. And I want to see every sexy person wearing that by the summertime. Now, I will get into not necessarily coaching, but consultations and like community access. That'll happen at some point, probably over summer, later as we lead into the year. But that's more so for being able to be of direct one-on-one support. One, for you guys. Two, to help pay my bills. And three, to make sure that we're cultivating a conscious community, whether it's free or paid access, of collective minds around the world. Forgive me for that. Of collective minds around the world, So we can continue to pursue this non-traditional life path or behavior and lifestyle wherever the universe will call us, even if that isn't the country that we're born in or the current environment that we find ourselves in. Now, mind you, that's just the personal brand that I'm building. I'll probably spend the next 5 years building that. I'm not going to quit doing anything. I'm just telling you right now that the main focus over the next 5 years for me is going to be building this personal brand. And the next thing is just kind of in the back ends, which I just put it out there just because I want to see who can I connect with this early. The My entrepreneurial business empire, that'll be a thing that probably carries me. That's going to be, if I ever do a career, it's going to be being a CEO. Like I'll never be anybody beneath the top of the pyramid. I apologize for that, and it's not from arrogance. It's just from like I don't know how to do nothing but give orders and win. So like I don't know why I wouldn't be given funding and authority to do that. And then final two aspects of my personal brand, which are still kind of in limbo right now, which this thing shouldn't even be in limbo. Probably going to be a, I hate even saying this, probably going to be a porn star. Capitalism does not pay bills. So if you're going to, if you're going to hate me for that, bro, I need you to pin the tail on Uncle Sam's nasty ass, ugly ass face before you hate on me for pursuing money in a world where bills are more necessary than social welfare. But on top of that, because that's not the only thing I'm going to do, I'm also going to start DJing like professionally with just no intention or no expectation of what's going to happen with it. I love music. I love having fun. I like being able to cultivate a good time and to curate a good vibe. Vibe curator, I got to throw that to my ex girlfriend. Thank you for throwing me that little bit of lingo. I'm going to carry that with me for the rest of my life. But I'm gonna curate the vibes, and I want to be in a rock band. I realized, like, I used to want to be a rapper, but I realized I could definitely be a rapper. But like fundamentally, I'm just like a songwriter. So if I can sing, then I'll be in a rock band. Like the fuck. So I think I'm just trying to figure out how I can leverage my lungs to be able to still pull in as much cannabis as I can, while also being able to sing crazy notes. Um, and really change the culture that we live in. Because I'm telling you, we need a creative renaissance so damn bad. We need a creative renaissance so damn bad. Now, now. What do we have here? Gangsters, party people, rebel souls, witches, and wizards, and everybody else in between. I just want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for participating in this culture, in this community that we're creating. I want you to know how important your presence and your attention is in a world that wants to do everything to strip you away from focusing that on what you care about and what you believe in. I always want you to remember how important you are in your life and how important you are to the world around you, even if you don't feel validated in that. Sometimes you just got to know it, even if the world isn't telling you. And hopefully, through this series, we took hopelessness and turned that completely upside down, backside up, inside out, all around. And we're able to now, instead of seeking or waiting for the hope or the happiness to come save us, we are starting to become that and sharing the happiness that we have with the world and allowing our life, our journey to be inspiration and hope for others who still have yet to find the confidence in pursuing such a path like going no contact with a narcissist. Pat yourself on the back. You deserve wine, a blunt, and whatever else you need on top of that. And a baddie. If you're me, you deserve a baddie. But again, it's just so much gratitude. It takes a handful of, it takes a long time to make these courses, make these videos. And I realized I was sabotaging so much of my own life and destroying so much of my own opportunities by surrendering to the imposter syndrome rather than surrendering to the path I know I'm always supposed to be on in this life. Just be crazy, rad, cool, and do whatever the fuck I want. And somehow it all works at the end of the day. So thankful for you guys for being here. Please share this video because you know YouTube hates black people. And other than that, I think I'm on my way. Go check out the other videos I got going here. I'm out here. I'm going on a tear all 2025. I'm telling you right now. I'm doing so much because I do not want to go back to that life that I was living before this shit, bro. I do not, bro. And I'll do everything. Not anything, but I will do everything to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Now, let's see if we can get one more Cosmic Nomad shout out before the end of this. Oh, I'm tripping. 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 All right, never mind. That only works when the camera is small. So, my bad for that, guys. I was Cosmic Nomads Rebel Souls.shop if you want to check us out. Love. Thank you for being here. Rock on. I'll catch you later.